And with that, we are ready for game number 2. Last match we saw Spirit 8 come back from some early game huge pressure out of the Relegades United jungler and just snowball their way into a victory thanks to a fantastic front line played out of TheSavedOne and some huge backline pressure out of Misseltine and TSM Loose Cannon. So these guys looking to be really strong in game number 2. Once again, my name is Stretch, and joining me on the cast is TheSavedOne for our color casting commentary. Saved, how you feeling about the series?
I felt pretty good about game number 1 because it was very interesting to watch, but game number 2 is here. New bands, new picks, same players, but I'm excited.
Yep. So far, Kale and Rakan banned away for Spirit 8. They don't want Relegades United to have those two. Interesting choice because Kale is not one that you typically see, but the immediate adaptation coming out from Relegades United here, taking away both the Orianna and the Zac away from Spirit 8, who showed a lot of comfort. Actually, Zac was played by God of Fistiaso, my bad, but yeah. Orianna taken away from Spirit 8, and because Relegades is on that red side, they want Zac off the board.
Yes. So you need to take Zac off the board if you're on red side. That was really good. That was a really good draft currently played, but Atris played the Warwick in the last game, so it was really nice. Or it's a really good first pick here, just because his play last game was phenomenal. It was really good.
Pretty clean stuff. It just needs to maybe dial back a little bit of the aggression, but either way, he was able to get super strong in the later portions of the game. Twitch being hovered now by Relegades United here. One of the more popular AD carry options because of that late game scaling.
Yeah, Twitch is an absolutely amazing lane, not really lane, kind of a lane bully in some senses if you want to kind of look at it like that, but the late game power spike of Twitch. Also, there's this one little strat that people do on Twitch where after your first back, you don't go right back into lane, but if you have a little bit of damage, you go into the mid lane if it's an option for you, and you get an easy kill like that. I've seen Twitches do it over and over and over again. So hopefully we can see that from Kamara Shoot Faster. If not, I really do like what they paired up the Twitch with, which is Lulu. So what they're trying to do here is they're trying to allow the Twitch to scale up, and they can do that with the Lulu. We saw that last game a little bit with the Tristana and the Janna, but now Relegades United are trying to do that with the Twitch and the Lulu.
Yeah, Relegades really looking to try to take this game in a completely different direction. Spirit 8, though, they're saying, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it, and they're picking up the exact same lineup as last game.
Yeah, they're taking the Nautilus and the Tristana once again like they just did last game. The one thing is that they're not going to have the Orianna, so I really do want to see what they're going to replace with that. There are a couple of options to replace with Orianna. Honestly, Victor is just flat out really just a good champion. Also, there was the Ahri I was going to mention just because of the single target damage that she offers. But, I mean, all of these different options, even the Talia in some cases is pretty good to replace there in the mid lane, but so far it's the same comp as last game.
Yeah, like you were saying, they're going to have to find a different mid-game solution, but that being said, Trundle, a huge swap up from last game in the top lane, no longer really looking for that long-range harass, and instead they're looking to just sustain through the poke of TheSavedOne completely and try to soften them up in the late game for this Twitch. And while doing so, Trundle should be able to get fairly tanky, so we should see a pretty interesting game here. That being said, though, bans coming out, Ahri, Nami, Victor, and for the last one, Syndra. So I'm curious to see what these guys are actually looking to play in the mid lane for Spirit 8. I think that Syndra would have been a pretty good option for them.
I think Syndra would have been pretty good, but if you think about the current mid lane mage pool, it's almost kind of very limited, but it's also just a lot of champions that you can play in that role. You got the Anivia is also a really good pick, Aurelion Sol, Vel'Koz in some senses, Vladimir even has come back in the meta, Katarina as well, but they want to choose a jungler first because they want the counter pick in the mid lane.
Yep. That being said, Kassadin going to be their pickup for that mid lane. And it's interesting that they've chosen that because they still, I guess, leave the window open for a bit of an AD assassin to come through there. But I guess they're just banking that maybe Allspark isn't practiced in those mid lane ADs. Rixai picked up for Relegades United.
Yeah, Rek'Sai is a really good champion right now. He got reworked last patch, which was really good for him. Or her, my bad. But basically what they did is they changed up the ultimate so that he's now this engaged style of a champion. You don't really have to get back to your you don't have the ability to go back to any E that you place down, but you have a source of an engage and gap close, which is what Rek'Sai was lacking.
Last couple of picks coming through here. Janna for maybe Q, just once again looking to protect TSM loose cannon on that Tristan and make sure that they're feeling comfortable and safe in the backline as well as the rest of the backline. Janna, so adept in just peeling divers off and making sure that people stay healthy and they're able to keep outputting damage. And the last pick for Relegades United was Allspark's Anivia. That's something that we don't typically see very often, but when played correctly, it can be completely oppressive.
It's almost kind of like this one tactic where you have, you almost kind of know that the enemy team is going to win the early game, so then you prevent the push into one of the lanes using the Anivia. Because what a lot of people like to do is they like to go mid lane, and that's almost kind of like the default idea, is that after your laning phase is done, you go right into the mid lane and then you duke it out for about 20 minutes, and then someone eventually wins the game. But Anivia almost kind of stops that, where she'll be in the mid lane. If she has blue buff, then she can place down her ultimate and it stops the push from happening. But good players can poke down the Anivia, and then maybe they can also engage onto her, maybe even pick her off in some senses to prevent that mid lane pressure that she offers.
That being said, let's take a look at these team comps here real quick. Last time we did a little bit of a lane-by-lane analysis. This time I'd like to go for a full team's analysis. Largely, we saw the Spirit 8 composition played last match, and they're playing it again because of how effective it is and how much space it creates for their damage dealers on their backline. What do you think that Relegades United really need to change up here in order to make this game successful for them? Because we already saw how much they struggled getting through Cyber to God and an Astra's in the late game. These guys have to change up their strategy somehow.
I think that Twitch really does need to get a lot of items. This whole entire game is all about this Twitch. Just sadly put it, almost. Just because Twitch is this type of carry or a type of champion that you pick into a comp where you want to protect the ADC. Because if Twitch is solo ulting on his own, and he has the type of utility that he's going to have here in this game, then he can absolutely pop off. If he gets a Last Whisper item, if he gets enough crit, if he gets enough lifesteal, even just damage overall, then he can become this beast of a champion where you won't even expect his engage coming, but once it comes very, very quickly. And I've seen tanks just get obliterated just because Twitch is so crazy at just assassinating people. But you see that the rest of this team and what it actually offers Twitch. Trundle's a tank. Rek'Sai is going to be this tank late game. That's just kind of just flat out put. But then Anivia is also going to be this utility style source where she's going to be stunning people. She's going to be using her AoE. She's also going to be outputting a lot of damage. And if she can output this single target / AoE burst onto people, then that can allow the Twitch to clean up. Obviously, Lulu is also there to back Twitch up, but that's about it.
Yeah, and the other thing that Anivia offers is that she's another champion that creates space for the backline. Because of the wall and being able to block these melee champions out and kind of zone them in awkward positions, you get that same effect where we saw last game Godfist Yasuo was able to isolate the tanks away from the damage and allow the team to consume those champions without having to worry about getting bursted down. And Anivia does that exact same thing. If Allspark's on point with his wall placement, Anivia is a great champion to stop a Kassadin who's trying to jump in and assassinate your guys, because you can block off the rest of the team, take care of the Kassadin, and then move on with the rest of the fight, assuming that you have that catch potential. So really excited to see how this Anivia gets played here in this matchup. But guys, we're stepping into our loading screen right now. We've got about a couple minutes before we get in the game, so make sure that you hit the bathroom, hit the snack bar, do whatever you got to do to make sure that you are adequately comforted. And with that short loading screen, we are back into game number 2 of Ascension eSports Elder League, week number 4. My name is Stretch, and I'll be your play-by-play caster for this matchup. And joining me, as always, is TheSavedOne for the color casting as well. And last game, we saw these guys play very defensive in level 1. Looks like these guys are fanning out to make a repeat positioning.
Oh yeah, the 5-point start is this kind of start where you cover every single entrance of the map, and what it basically does is it gives you vision of the enemy team. If both teams do it, basically nothing really happens, but if you do the 5-point start and one of the teams invades, then you almost kind of have that information. Let's just say if the red team wanted to invade the enemy red jungle, then Warwick would see the enemy first, and then he can easily get away, allowing the rest of his team to know that the enemy team is in the red jungle.
Being said, taking a look at these positionings, it looks like we no longer have any of these starts on the top side. Both Godfist, Yasuo, and Asterisk looking for that strong leash out of their bottom lane and then continuing up towards the top side of the map. And it's interesting to see that, because I think that we actually have a little bit of a volatile top lane here. Recrisis actually has a pretty decent matchup against CyberTheGod if he can get himself an early lead. So if Godfist Yasuo can gank as hard as he did last game, we might be seeing the toppling of CyberTheGod.
Oh yeah, I think that Recrisis, he does a fine job, like you just said, there in the top lane versus the Nautilus. But the thing was, we said that last game about the Gnar versus the Nautilus, and Nautilus got a lead in the early game, which completely just snowballed him out of control. So it's almost this type of matchup where, again, Nautilus is going to farm up, but if he can outsmart his opponent like he did last game, that's going to be really good. In the mid lane, a little bit of trading. We saw this a lot last game, where these two mid laners would consistently trade with each other level 1, but once the level 2, level 3, level 4 hit, then the victor had the favor last game. So we'll see if our Allspark can keep that consistency up.
Making sure that Mistletoe just throws down that disruption and shield as much as possible. They're really taking advantage of that decreased magic damage passive on the Kassadin. But Allspark really has been laying into these trades, each one with a lot of auto attacks, getting 2 to 3 on each one. So really making sure that he plays to his range strength.
Oh yeah, Allspark's pretty good at outputting his damage, but the thing is, if he gets a little bit too close, then the Kassadin can Q, and then not really auto attack, but he's been consistently queuing over and over again, forcing the Anivia to use one of her pots already. And now Warwick sees that here in the mid lane, he's looking for a gank.
Yep, they're trying to pop the egg away from the turret. They've almost got it. They finally do get it, and because they're not under tower, it looks like Allspark's going down immediately, and they just hand deliver the kill to Mistletoe. Up in the top lane, a kill traded back. Once again, like I was saying, they want to put that early pressure down on the Nautilus, because having that counter tank in Trundle, you want to have that XP and gold advantage there.
And when you see a trade like that, where it's a 1-for-1 across the board, you almost have to ask yourself, what was more worth? Which gank was a lot better? So if you look in the mid lane, Anivia is now this squishy bird that doesn't have her egg. So I think that if Warwick can come back here and do the exact same thing that he just did, then I think it's a little bit more worth for them. But if you look in the top lane and what's going on up there, Nautilus of course has the sustain, but he just gave the kill over to a very hungry Trundle. So this Trundle is now going to snowball out of control if he does use his lead correctly. But if he can't use his lead correctly, then that's not really going to be good. But Warwick's here in the spot lane, he's looking for more.
Immediate double flashes burn there. Come on, shoot faster, getting very low. The reset on the jump, thanks to the maximum stacks on the explosive charge there. A lot of people don't realize that Tristana will reset jump if you pop maximum stacks with something that's not the E timing out. As long as you keep throwing down the auto attacks, you will get a second jump even without killing someone.
I had no idea. I didn't really know.
It takes so many people by surprise, and it nets you so many kills on that champion.
Because I saw her initially go in with the jump, and then I'm like, wait, she just used her jump. What the heck happened? And then she jumped again, or she got the max stacks, and then she did that. But we're going to slowly see here in this top lane, if played correctly, that this Nautilus is going to crumble. But there in the mid lane, Rex is trying to avenge the death of the bird.
Can't quite get in range there. Flash was available for Yasuo, but didn't really want to go underneath that turret. Allspark having a hard time in this matchup, taken very low already. No potions and only a Doran's Ring available. Throws down the stun against Mistletoe, just making sure that he's able to disengage that fight as soon as possible. But Warwick is already on the hunt, looking to turn this corner. Gets there. He's not going to go for it.
Wait, he's not going to go.
Just get the damage reduction. Are you kidding me? He could have just killed her. He could have slid right through and got out of there no problem.
Yeah. I think that was definitely an option. He got a little bit scared because he did see the Rek'Sai in the corner of his eye. So he's like, okay, so if I go in here, maybe I get a kill, maybe I don't, maybe the stun can come out. But then if he completely fails, then Rek'Sai just gets the kill. So he's like, all right, I'm going to take the safe route. I'm just going to get out.
Yeah, just make sure that he doesn't end up throwing the lane there. Making sure that Mistletoe has a nice, easy time in this farm. Mid lane, though, Godfist Yasuo turning his lane holding into a little bit of gank, but underestimates just the amount of damage that this Kassadin is available or able to do. So much pressure coming out of this mid lane so far.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's only going to get worse for Allspark here in this mid lane, just because Kassadin does this thing over and over again once he gets to level 6, where he'll R in, he'll Q, and do his, like, he'll basically R in and do his whole entire combo, and then R out. And it's on repeat if he has blue buff, and it can get really annoying because you can't do anything about that if you're the enemy and you're not like this super heavy CC type character. It can get kind of annoying. I think Anivia can kind of deal with it, but not to the extent as other champions.
6.5 minute mark here, and it looks like so far Spirit 8 has already grown themselves to a 1k gold lead across the board, so definitely holding their own here despite the CS disadvantage and the kill disadvantage up in that top lane. The rest of the map really holding on to a pretty firm or even status here, as a lot of this game is going to be hindering on the performance of this mid lane. Mistletoe definitely showing up in this matchup very strong, but they need to continue this pressure and maybe spread the love to the side lanes.
Yeah, Godfist Yasuo's kind of lurking here in this top lane. Recrisis is baiting, and he got it.
Yep, good knock up there and good trophy placement as well. Flash over to try to get out, but it does not matter. Godfist Yasuo with a good amount of damage on this Rek'Sai.
Yeah, that was very clean, or cleanly played. A lot of, basically very nice communication between the top laner and the jungler there on that gank, just because Rek'Sai probably said, look, bait it. Recrisis said, all right, I'm going to try and aggress just a little bit, and knowing Cyber's playstyle in the top lane, he did exactly that. Baited it out, got an easy kill. Now they might get this first tower. TP in by the Nautilus. Is it going to stop them? Yeah, it is.
It actually shouldn't have there. I think they could have easily finished that one up, but regardless, they're going to play it safe, make sure that Warwick's not coming in. Bottom lane, though, Warwick shows himself able to get the fear back onto Aloha Akbar, who goes very, very low. Lulu taken out for almost free there. Only a summoner spell burned by Asterisk to finish off that kill. And despite the heal and exhaust drop down Kamanchu faster, they cannot keep Aloha Akbar alive.
We also saw that Rek'Sai went towards the mid lane, maybe trying to look for something. Couldn't find it, though. But very nice gank by the Warwick, just responding to the aggression there in the top. And I like to look at League as a kind of like a pulley system, where if something happens on one side of the map, something's going to happen on the other. So what we saw there was Godfist Yasuo go towards the top lane. He got a kill there. Then Warwick has to either think, do I counter jungle this guy, or do I try and go bot lane to try and make something happen? He chose to go bot lane. He made something happen with the Lulu, against the Lulu, got a kill onto her. Now he gets a free blue buff plus a dragon.
That dragon's going to be definitely helpful for them, really giving them that additional objective pressure. I think that I like Mountain Drake a lot because it's kind of the dragon that helps you get more dragons, so it's definitely an accelerator for the rest of the game. Top lane, it looks like Rek'Sai looking for a bit of a gank onto Cyber to God, but Nautilus is being very careful to not push up too far. Bottom lane, though, Asterisk looking to see if he can't find something onto this Twitch. Good knockback with the explosive, though. And top lane, they're able to find a window to actually gank Cyber to God, finally taking him down yet again. Ultimate pop by Rek'Sai, but it's not needed there as Recrisis easily picks up that kill.
I think that if Asterisk went to just continued the push with their bot lane and maybe tried to get first tower, that would have been a little bit more worth. Even if they just didn't get first tower and they maybe just got a tower for their troubles, that would have been pretty good. But he just goes bot lane, he gets killed, and then just leaves. So that's a little bit of a thing that junglers do that is not that great. You should try and push the wave in with your ADC, even if your ADC says no, back off. Or any lane just says back off. You should try and push it in, try and deny as much XP as possible. You can kind of make that exception for Tristan just because of how fast you can shove the wave. But the thing is, you do want to try and get a tower. Warwick is now here in the mid lane, and he wants to kill somebody.
Yeah, Warwick looking for that pressure there. Mistletoe just jumps over the wall, trying to create a little bit of space for themselves away from the enemy team as these guys kind of slow things down and take a second to recollect. Come on, shoot faster, reappearing down in the bottom lane with a little bit of additional damage and lifesteal with that Cutlass finished up, but still significantly far behind in the gold count as far as TSM Loose Cannon goes, sitting roughly about 400 gold down, just because of the repeated ganks coming out here from Asterisk to this bottom lane.
Oh yeah, Asterisk is just applying pressure all around this map, and he's the type of jungler to do that. He's being very, very aggressive. He's very again, he's very aggressive in the manner that he's trying to get all across the map. He's trying to do whatever he can. He's not wasting any time. He's getting all of the camps that he really does need to. Plus, he's looking for blood, and that's really good from out of a jungler.
Bottom lane, Godfist Yasuo seeing if he can't get a little cheeky jump over the wall maybe, but looks like Spirit 8 smells that something is up. He's going to walk into the lane here and see if he can't get a flash knock-up. Not going to find the range, though. He also doesn't have flash available. I'm not quite sure why he entered the lane there, but he decided to just give some space for Come On Shoot Faster to clear the wave, maybe get back to base. Mistletoe showing up there, throws down the silence. Huge damage already on the Come On Shoot Faster. Godfist Yasuo shows up as well, but it's actually the disengage coming out for these guys. Jump right back in. Ultimate dropped by Lulu. Exhaust as well, straight onto Mistletoe. Astra's showing up to support the rest of the team. It's going to be the Silence Orb that ends up coming through there to pick up the kill onto Godfist Yasuo, who so far in this game it has an impact, but it feels like he's nowhere near the same level that he was last match.
The thing is, out of Godfist Yasuo, from what we're seeing right now, is that some junglers love to do this, where they'll look at the enemy jungler and they'll be like, holy crap, he's pulling so much pressure. And they'll say, alright, I'm going to get out of my jungler and I'm just going to go to a lane. They don't even care about like just the lane positioning. They don't care about anything. But they just go to the lane and they hope and pray that something happens. That's exactly what Rek'Sai did, but a beautiful flash fear.
Yep, good fear coming out of Asterisk there onto Allspark, but he's able to just casually walk that one out, no problem. Bottom lane, TSM Loose Cannon finds himself a little snack there as Come On Shoot Faster not able to escape that one quite well. Top lane, Reek Crisis says,
Wait.
You're with me here, friend. We're fighting this one out. You better flag.
Is he going?
Wait, no, come on now. Yeah, let's all calm down here. If he had Ghost, maybe, but not with Flash.
Let's all calm down here. Relax. Alright, you're big. You're not that big.
Exactly.
Relax.
That last auto attack is not going to take out the last fifth of his health. Good stun out of Allspark, though. Mid lane, looks like Godfist Yasuo's not committing. Wait, flash forward. He doesn't get the knock-up. He just kind of unburrows and instead throws down the ultimate to finish off the kill there. Last turret shot will not be making contact as Godfist Yasuo's able to get out of the range.
Even though it was messy, he got himself a kill. That's pretty good if you're 13 minutes in the game on Rek'Sai, because you want to become this beast, you want to become this type of tank that your team loves. But the only thing that is kind of concerning is that your ADC is 0 and 3, so you kind of need to try and do something in order to get them back ahead. But Warwick, he's gonna be looking for a kill.
Infinite Rest connects onto Allspark, throws down the Red Smite as well. Allspark
the
going
redemption.
into Egg. Redemption comes out here, heals Asterisk back up and keeps him alive. Fantastic support timing there coming out of Mimikyu, who's just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, very, very nice, man. Now they see that the Trundle is overextended top lane. Trundle's maybe looking to try and escape somehow, some way, but it looks like he's dead.
Yeah, he's not really any place that he can really go here. TSM, Loose Cannon able to jump in and maybe just tag in for an assist. Cyber the God, the one to actually end up finishing off that kill there. But this does open a little bit of space for Come On Shoot Faster and Alua Akbar to try to get some damage down on this bottom lane outer turret. But with how far Twitch is behind in his progression and his damage, he's just taking forever to actually knock this thing over.
Yeah, but at this point in the game, you need to start getting objectives. You need to turn these kills into objectives. In the early game, you get kills in order to snowball the lane so that they can get more kills so that they can eventually get the tower. Now it's 14 minutes into the game. All of the kills and all of the deaths have gone across the board, but now once you get a kill, you need to get something off of that. I think that there was an opportunity that was missed because the Trundle, the Rek'Sai, and the Anivia were dead, but Rift Herald was still alive. So now Godfist Yasuo is taking advantage of the lack of knowledge of Warwick, and he's going to try and get that.
Try to pick this thing up and maybe use this to get some of those objectives you were talking about. If you want to come back in this game as RGU, you need to be making cheeky plays like this. Trundle going to come down and assist Rek'Sai in taking this thing away, and because of the lack of vision here, it's an easy two-man take for them. No problem, as on the map, TheSavedOne completely just doesn't even go over in that direction and instead is looking to go mid, maybe to find a gank onto Allspark.
Allspark was kind of vulnerable there, but now you have to note that he's getting a little bit tanky, and he's also just kind of like this wave clear style presence that he is there in the mid lane. We're starting to see that blossom just a little bit more, but we also see that the bot lane of Relegades United are looking towards this dragon, but they get shoved off of it. But now Spirit 8 finally are starting to do things. Also Rift Herald in the top lane.
Yeah, Rift Herald being burned here. They're like, all right, if you're down there doing the dragon and we know you're doing so, we're going to go ahead and try to get some damage down on this inhibitor turret. Huge damage already from that Rift Herald, but without the minion wave there to assist, there's not a lot of damage they can throw down additionally to that Rift Herald. So they end up pulling a bit of pressure away from that dragon, but other than that, not too much happening from that top lane.
Yeah, we're starting to look at this game from a outsider's perspective, and what we currently see now is that Trundle's a beast, Rek'Sai's a beast, Cassim is dead.
But damage coming down onto Mistletoe. Allspark assisting in that kill with Godfist Yasuo, who was able to bait Mistletoe backwards just a bit there, and now they're looking to steal away this blue buff. Control Ward in the brush will be useful for clearing out the enemy vision. They immediately throw that blue onto the Anivia, knowing that the additional mana will be most useful there. Over on the side, looks like Astrus is trying to find a jump over the wall, but can't quite get the distance as he's got no movement speed. Instead, makes contact with Allspark.
Oh,
immediate wild growth there. Over the wall, two-man stun there for the Anivia, as well as the Storm, the ultimate coming out here. Astrus shut down by Allspark as he's continually scaling up here in this game. Underneath the turret, TSM Loose Cannon able to pick up the heal there as he was getting very low, especially thanks to the underground Q from Godfist Yasuo. Knockup makes contact onto Mistletoe. I don't know if they can survive all of this damage, but they're able to get the interrupt onto Allspark before more of that Anivia AoE chunks down their health bar.
Spirit A is looking very sloppy here in this game, here in the mid game. What they really did need to do is snowball their tower lead into these other lanes, but the thing is that they failed to do that. They got the picks necessary, but they in a sense just didn't really want to do that because they think that they couldn't. Right, so they look towards the mid lane and they say, okay, we cannot siege against an Anivia. This is just out of the option. They go towards the top lane, they get a pick top lane, but off of the pick, off of the 3 picks that they got there in that mid game, they didn't really want to do anything for some reason. So now it's almost kind of left in Rek'Sai and Trundle's hands to be like, okay, let's try and make some calls. Let's try and get some towers, and off of this, we can get a gold lead.
Yeah, I think the big difference that we're seeing here as well is TheSavedOne is no longer just completely unkillable, having to face up against Recrisis, who can steal away so many of his resistances and sustain through a lot of his damage thanks to that Ravenous Hydra and Spectre's Cowl. He's having such a difficult time keeping control of these solo lanes. So if this game continues on, I think that we might be seeing a Relegades United victory here, as long as they don't botch a Baron play or something like that.
Yeah, I think that if they play this game analytically, if they play correctly, then I think that they can win this game. But the thing is, you also got to look at the gold lead, and this game is still pretty close. Of course, the towers are 4-1 in the favor of Relegades United, but I think that if Spirit 8 can maybe try and find some pick somewhere on the map, then I think that they can try and get back into this game. They can also use the Tristana power that they do have, because she's really strong right now as well. She's 2-0-5. She also has her bark completely finished. She also has boots, so it's attack speed and damage in a kit. Also some tank shred from herself. Plus she has the support that's full utility based. But the thing is, Relegades United, they're looking to push some of these things. They're looking to get some more gold, and they're looking to make some proactive plays.
Yeah, speaking on that Bork just really quick, it's actually very effective in this particular game just because there's not a lot of armor preference being thrown down here. It's a lot of health and magic resist. So Tristana may be the most effective damage dealer in this entire match, especially since she's prioritizing attack speed, and with the Janna shield, it's going to be so effective here. Stun actually landing down here in the jungle, wall getting thrown down, as well as Astralis is able to get caught out there. Bottom lane underneath turret, Godless Yasuo jumps in with the Rek'Sai ultimate, but may go too deep, able to get out of the fight. No way! Lulu shields and ultimate able to keep him alive there, as now it's just Mistletoe here trying to defend this bot lane inner turret. No one on the rest of the team of Spirit 8 in position. These guys are falling apart.
Yeah, it's just basically the tower pressure that Anivia offers, plus the Trundle and the Rek'Sai, and how aggressive these two players are. And they know their champion limits, and they're playing to their champion limits here in game number 2, 20 minutes into the game. Rek'Sai now sitting 4-2-4. He's slowly trying to finish his Black Cleaver, and once that happens, he's going to have a lot more damage. He's going to have a lot more stats here on this champion. You also can see the Trundle, where how he has his main damage item. He has the Ravenous Hydra, but now he's going for a Spear Visage against just the AP damage that the enemy team offers.
Tanky nature of these frontliners coming to fruition here. What you were saying, Recrisis is going to become even more difficult to handle after that Spirit Visage has been finished it now, and stacks a Chain Vest on top of it. So really trying to make sure that he's got the necessary resistances for every damage type here. As these guys just get situated. Baron live right now at the 21-minute mark. Gold lead heavily, well, not that heavily in favor of RGU. Spirit 8 feels like they're just sort of biding their time here, but they can't continually lose pressure like this, or they're going to end up giving up big objectives. Over off to the side, Come On Shoot Faster almost walks into 3 members of the enemy team while trying to step up with the rest of his companions and try to contest this blue buff. Infinite Duress lands onto Anivia, but immediately is negated, and this is what I'm talking about here. That wall actually creates so much space, but because of the egg, they're not able to do that much with it. No one is on this twig. He's getting so many auto attacks off, but it doesn't even matter because the front line has shown up. The front line is creating space for Tristana to reset again and again, and the knockup comes through on Trundle, and he's actually staying alive a very long time. Jesus Christ. Wow. Okay, well, they do get the triple kill in the end, but that Trundle, can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Well, he lived for so long right there.
He's gonna die. He's maybe gonna die. He's gonna die now. Wait,
in the process of dying.
Okay,
dying application has been submitted. Wait 2 to 3 weeks for processing, and then 2 to 3 business days for mail back. All right, it's almost here. We're opening the letter now. It says he has died. All right, there it is.
Finally, after 10 business days, you kidding me, dude?
For a simple death application? Come on.
Dude, I should have went with FedEx.
Yeah, exactly. I applied for death 10 days ago. It's too late now.
The hell, Amazon? All right. So, basically, at the end of the day, Trundle dies, and the whole entire squad of Relegades United is dead. Spirit 8 finally notices their advantage. They know where to get their picks. And if you saw right at the beginning of the fight, the Twitch and the Lulu were over the wall on the right. The rest of the team, the rest of the 3 members, the Anivia, the Rek'Sai, and the Trundle, were at the blue buff, and they were trying to apply the damage. But the thing is, in small corridors like that, you need your Twitch to be in position. Now, they're just basically, he's almost kind of defaulting this Twitch. He's going into the bot lane and he's getting picked off. This is what ADCs do if they're almost kind of tilted like this. He had 4 deaths. He's looking to get some farm wherever he can. He goes into the bot lane. Caston says no. Goes into the bot lane, kills him.
Hard time here for Come On Shoot Faster, who is struggling to become more relevant in this matchup. Bottom lane, though, looks like we might have a decent collapse on a Mistletoe knockup doing a little bit of CC there for them. Godfist Yasuo jumps in with the Rek'Sai ultimate. They try to dodge out of it, but they're not going to quite get there. Riftwalk available again, goes towards the brush. They might be able to get here. Walks into the heal from the support once again, as well as Infinite Duress coming through here to finish off that kill. Fantastic play coming out of Spirit 8. In the mid lane, TSM Loose Cannon stunned up and chunked out by Allspark, not picking up the kill there though.
That was absolutely beautifully played by, or just the communication between the mid laner and the jungler. The jungler immediately stops what he's doing. He says, I'm going to come bot lane now. He goes bot lane. He uses the range that he has as Warwick, and he uses his ultimate on an overextended target like this Rek'Sai. Now this Rek'Sai is 5-4-4. He's slowly trying to build damage, and this is the one thing that I don't like out of this Rek'Sai player, is that he's going for full damage, he's going for full carry mode, which is not what you want to do when you have this type of team come. You want to get tanky and you want to trust in your team in order to carry.
Gotta put your faith in this Anivia and the Twitch, because if you are that squishy, bruisery champion in this situation, you can't create enough time for your team to really do what they need to do on the back end. Good wall out of Anivia is going to be easily jumped over by Mistletoe over in the jungle here. Godfist Yasuo finds Asterisk, but I don't think he wins this fight ever. Healing coming through here. Smite goes down. It looks like Godfist Yasuo just trying to create a location where the rest of his team can fight. Good jungle pressure coming through here as Mistletoe actually gets chunked out a bit. Janna the next target. Infinite Duress thrown down onto Rek'Sai. Godfist Yasuo knocked up by the Nautilus ultimate as well as the fight continues to come through. Recrisis shows up and they actually use the Anivia wall to just disengage. Wait, Godfist Yasuo, calm down, dude. Stay with your team. He just ducks under the wall and says, I'm going in. But thankfully, Spirit 8 has already disengaged.
Another thing that I don't like that Spirit 8 is doing here with this Baron is that they're not prioritizing towers, they're prioritizing fights. They're basically going into these lanes and saying, we're going to default to the exact same thing that we did 6 minutes ago, where it's almost kind of like they're looking for a fight, but they're just pushing out lanes and resetting. And that's not what you want to do when you have Baron. You want to send your top laner into a side lane, and you want to send the rest of your team either into the other side lane or into the mid lane where you can just use the heck out of this Baron. Currently, they haven't got any towers, and that's the one thing that bugs me. I think they got the bot lane tower. That's about it.
Yeah, I think they got bot inner, but that's all they were able to get. But that being said, it's still so difficult for them to push up towards towers with Allsparks and Nivea on the board. It's still a task that they've got to overcome, especially since the Leandri's Torment has been finished up. That's a huge amount of damage that's going down on these minion waves. So I think they might actually be forced to prioritize fights just because it's so hard to approach the enemy structures. Yeah,
I think I also... you summarized perfectly.
My bad, dude.
It's fine, don't worry about it.
But either way, sitting here at the 27-minute mark, we do have a 5k gold lead sitting on Spirit 8, who in the early game was struggling just a bit, sitting roughly 1 to 2k gold behind. So able to make that 6 or 7k gold lead swing is a huge telling factor that these guys know how to operate as a unit. They know how to operate as a team, and it's really helping them out here, especially since they've got so much of their gold in the right places. Kassadin and Tristana sitting with the majority of the team gold alongside Astralis on this Warwick, so the damage dealer is really holding a large portion of the team's bank.
Yeah, I noticed that at one point in the game when it was 4 towers to 1. That it was still a 1k lead, so that really did mean that there was no real difference in between these teams and just the gold lead and the items that they had. But now it's getting to the point where it's slowly turning into a 5k lead for Spirit 8, and now you see in the top lane that there's this Trundle pressure. He uses his ultimate, so he doesn't really have that much pressure, but he's walking in a kind of a weird path, and it looks like he might get caught out.
Yeah, knock-up lands there by Mimikyu. TSM Loose Cannon getting a couple shots there. They're going to pass the kill over to Mistletoe. The rest of RGU are just saying, "Hey, Trundle, we do not have pressure, my man. You gotta ease up a little bit and give us time to push out and try to draw the enemy team back in." And he can't even 1v1 Mistletoe at this current point in the game, just thanks to that Kassadin mobility. The second that the Trundle ultimate went down there, you saw the immediate disengage out of the Spirit 8 mid laner.
It's basically just the simple art of split pushing, where if you see that your whole entire team is getting sieged on, and there's not all 5 members there, then you should just back off and just wait and be patient. But the thing is, if there's all 5 members there in the mid lane, then it kind of gives you a really good thing, but there's a fight.
Oh my goodness, Tristana jump used, and TSM Loose Cannon's in a terrible position now. Zeroed out by Godfist Yasuo with the last hit from the Rek'Sai ultimate. TP being channeled as well by Recrisis to rejoin the fight. A little bit overzealous by TSM Loose Cannon. TheSavedOne now caught out over near the dragon. He hooks to the wall, and he's just going to take these guys on a merry chase. Wait a minute. Now, hold on just a second. Can he win this? No, not quite yet. He doesn't have enough damage available, and he's just going to try to get back to base, try to get with Mimikyu, and maybe defend this inhibitor.
Kassadin's coming from the back. Can he maybe assassinate?
No, maybe not in the middle of 4. It's a little bit difficult, especially with the Lulu available, but they are walking forward, just going to take the shortcut back to the rest of the team. A little bit more of a dangerous approach, but definitely the fastest.
Yeah, and while that whole entire thing was happening there in the mid lane, Rek'Sai was trying to get this dragon. It's another mountain dragon here spawned, but it's the first mountain dragon that Relegades United have took. So this is a really good opportunity for them to now get some towers, maybe even get Baron at some point.
Very true. Mimikyu getting around that Baron buff that you just mentioned, trying to get this vision control down because they know it's the next point of contention. So many wards in this Baron pit. Look at this thing. I don't know why it is. Like, I guess it's because they know that Ola Akbar is showing up and they're going to try to get some ward clearing down, and there's no way a single support can fight all these wards at once. The battle is too much. The armies of vision keep coming back.
You want to clear my wards? Are you kidding me? Exactly. You have to go through 4.
There's only one thing that matters on this map, and it's the Baron.
Dude, this Rek'Sai, he tried.
Yeah, they're going.
He's like,
they're like, hold on a second.
Wait a minute.
The gang's all here.
I can't. My Q?
Yeah.
What? There's a Baron right beside me. I want to clear a ward with my Q, but I can't do it. What's the issue? Riot!
Riot, come on. Tighten up this hitbox.
Yeah, what's going on?
All right, come on, shoot faster. The next battle, the next ward combatant here. And the 2 wards still stand is the surprising thing. They continually clear out the vision, but it is still coming through.
So after all of that, after all of the trooping, they're just like, wait a minute, there's still a word. What the heck?
Vision is still available here. Pressure being thrown down on the mid lane as RGU try to step towards the base of Spirit 8. These guys not finding anything though, and they're going to send Godfist Yasuo back to base. Maybe just channeling the recall. He doesn't really have anything to purchase here. This 400 gold with a cloth armor being the only thing available in your inventory is not going to get you too much of anything. Maybe considering selling that refillable and filling it with actual resistances, but we'll see what they end up choosing to do here. As on the top side of the map, TheSavedOne has found a window where he can get into this top lane and throw down a little bit of split push pressure, maybe draw the aggro of Recrisis. No, he's pathing towards the bottom lane here. Nautilus spending some time to try to scout out the map and see if anyone's coming up, and with no one showing up here, looks like they might be looking to go for a Baron take. No?
Yeah,
Baron?
both teams.
Oh. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, yeah, both teams have their sights on Baron, and this is the one thing at this point where both teams are they're looking at it, they're trying to ward it. If one team clears all of the wards, then the other team gets kind of scared. But the one thing that I really do like when teams do is when they start the Baron, but then they can peel off of it and then start fighting, because it's a really good way to bait the enemy team. I want to see if any team really does that here. TSM does it a whole lot, but I want to see if any team does it.
Yeah, we'll see how they end up handling the situation. Bottom lane, Mistletoe able to throw down so much harassment onto Trundle. Wall comes out for the likes of RGU, and the fight has started. Tristana once again steps very far forward, and the exhaust is thrown down. Good explosive shot actually gets them knocked back. 2 kills for Trist, 3 kills for Trist. The resets keep coming in here, and they're able to pick up that fight no problem, while keeping Recrisis completely occupied in the bottom lane.
That was really cool how in the middle of the rocket jump, she flashes over the wall. That was awesome. I don't know why I found that so cool, but I was like, holy crap, that's awesome. But I really do like the pressure that this team is now putting. They didn't send the Tristana to shred Baron faster. They sent her into the top lane to get a top lane tower. Now you got a Cassidy in the bot lane. You have a Tristana in the top lane. The rest of the team is taking this Baron with the Warwick and the Janna. But Trundle, he's looking for blood here in the bot lane. Maybe he can get it, but it's on you.
Yeah, it looks like it might come through here. Forced to Hourglass to try to sustain the last little bit of that subjugate. But either way, it just buys time for Greek Crisis to walk up, hit him with the chomp to last hit that kill.
Yeah, it was a really nice pressure tactic by Cassidy. The one point where he kind of messed up, though, was when he aggressed with his R with no minions. So at that point, he was like, wait a minute, I kind of messed up. That's when Trundle popped his ultimate, and then he started to chase. And that's when he also got a kill.
Hard life there for that mid laner. Spirit 8 would have loved to have this Cassidy continue to split push with having the Baroned up minions next to them, but a little bit of over eagerness coming out there. Removes that Baron buff from that Cassidy. Now the game is completely in Spirit 8's court, I guess you could say. Yeah. They definitely have all of the control available to them thanks to this Baron buff and the top lane inhibitor down. So as long as they don't botch a play here, they should be able to get some additional objectives.
Well, now you have two options available to you, so it almost kind of relieves a little bit of pressure off of you, where now you can send a split pusher into the bot lane. You can also send the rest of your team into the mid lane. And then you also have the pressure from the top lane that's just almost kind of there for the next 7 minutes. But it's a really nice relief off of your shoulders if you are a teammate.
Bottom lane, once again, we've got Mistletoe showing up, just throwing down that split push pressure. Trundle sitting here with his team. He knows he's got to be around to negate the dive, because if he is not, Nautilus has no issue whatsoever just jumping in on this team. Look at his resistances and look at how much health he has available to him with the Janna shield and his own personal shield. This man is so hard to kill. We saw him last game and he's got one less shield, but still, it's such a hard time knocking over this Nautilus.
Yeah, this Nautilus is incredibly tanky. We saw that last game. We're starting to see that here in this game, even though it has a lot of depth of the fight.
Bottom lane jumping in. It looks like Mistletoe's able to get the kill there with the assistance of Astrus. So this might be the closing of the game. Lulu ultimate dropped down onto Trundle to try to keep him alive. No minions available to them, but that being said, they've got all the time in the world to really play around this minion wave, draw it up to the turret, and look for another engage. With no Godfist Yasuo on the board, it should be no problem throwing down additional aggression.
Yeah, top lane's starting to aggress with the minions. The Elder Dragon is up if they want to go there. Warwick has now turned his attention towards this mid lane. So there's pressure all across this map, and it's really nice. So if Tristana can easily get this tower, it opens up the new option for them to try and get this inhibitor, and they can rotate their lead maybe even into this mid lane. But Anivia doesn't really know where to go right now. He's just trying to group here in this bot lane, but you can work around the Anivia circle when you're only attacking Anivia.
And they're doing the right thing, too. They're splitting up the enemy team. They just have the Warwick in the mid lane. They have the rest of them down on the bottom side. So it's really forcing this Anivia to choose where they go. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
This whole time... well, pardon me. I didn't realize that we were doing that much damage, as it was... They were typically fighting people who had magic resist. Good dodge out of that Rek'Sai ultimate, just using that mobility to not take that damage there. Allspark trying to clear out the minions as quickly as possible, but it's not enough. The Baron buff allowing them to stay alive a little bit longer. Mistletoe now trying to analyze the amount of damage they're able to do to Yasuo. Got him. Swipes him out at the end of the fight there, just flashing over the wall, says, not today.
No, you're mine. You're dead. That's it. Rek'Sai's dead. But now it's just... the game is almost kind of just like slowly falling. It's just basically done at this point, where Warwick already got the Elder Dragon. Now this is the final fight.
Over the fight there. Good jump in by Mistletoe yet again, making sure they get that damage down. Mistletoe actually ends up going down to the turret damage.
Wait, come on, shoot faster.
Come on, shoot faster. Coming in. He throws down the ultimate. He gets absolutely two-shot.
Nice. Get the tower, get the tower.
Tristana turned around and said, a 1, a 2, a 3.
This game's over.
Game number 2 won 28-14 by Spirit 8. It didn't look that solid to start out, though. The end game screen tells a completely different tale than what the entirety of the game looked like before we actually closed it up at the end. A lot.
Mm. Yeah, it was just a really nice game overall. Played by Spirit 8 in the first game. They destroyed. Second game, they didn't really destroy because it was very, very sloppy there in the mid game. But eventually, the game snowballed out of control, and Warwick and the top laner took over. Nautilus.
Definitely.
But also, you also have to commend the Cassidy and the Tristana. They also do really, really well.
Had a race for the damage at the tail end of the game there. We saw Mistletoe just definitely popping off at the end with that damage, taking out Godfist Yasuo, taking out Come On Shoot Faster. So really high impact champions, high impact players here. And I also want to commend TSM Loose Cannon because he is definitely a loose cannon. Oh, I saw him jump into that one fight where into like that tight corridor, and I was like, I don't know about this one, but we'll see how it works out. And an Nideo wall comes out, he falls over immediately, and I was like, yeah, I could see that happening. But from then on, he was a little bit more careful. But I like that AD carry who's not afraid to get in there and just try to get their damage down. Because a lot of times what you end up with on your team is an AD carry who's really concerned about staying alive to a point where they deal no damage and they might as well be in the grave. So definitely props to him.
It's really funny because I meet two types of AD carry players, like you just said. You either make the very scared ADC, where in Champions, like they'll look at the enemy team come and say, "I'm dead. That's it. I'm done. That's it." But you also meet the type of AD carry player where if they're like 12-1 at 30 minutes in the game, they're like, "I want to 1v5. I want to go. I'm gonna jump in," and then they just die. But it's really good that TSM Loose Cannon has that aggression as a player. So good job.
But yeah, that's going to do it for us here, guys. Game number 2 will be the last, thanks to the 2-0 victory from Spirit 8. I don't know if Ascension eSports 1 is still going. You can check it out, twitch.tv/aesports_GG. And regardless if it's live right now or not, you're going to want to follow that channel, as if there are games being played, that's going to be the one that's definitely got a game on it. So even if there's no duo casting on AEGG2, we will definitely have people on number 1 tomorrow. Phoenix League pops off at I think 6 p.m. CST, which is 7 p.m. EST. So make sure you show up, same time, same place for that one. You know what? Just as I finished saying that one, I'm doubting myself. So let me check the schedule.
All right, buddy.
I always do this. I'm just like, is it? Because sometimes it's like, it happens to be like 3, and I'm like, oops. Yeah, I messed up. It's actually 3 p.m. CST. 4 p.m. EST. Oh. So I botched it. Plenty of spicy games there for you guys to watch. Once again, make sure you give a follow to twitch.tv/aesports_GG. That is the main channel there. And if you're new, a new viewer, check out our subreddit, man. That's where a good place you can go to find out information on what we're all about. If you want to join a league or join the sub pool and try to get into some of these games, since we are in the middle of the season, I think it's a little bit late for joining a new roster. But hey, people drop out all the time. You might be able to find yourself a permanent home. But either way, check us out on Reddit. Links to that are below that main channel. You can just go over there and click and find us there. Either way, my name has been Stretch. Once again, I do play-by-play casting here for Ascension eSports, and my companion here is TheSavedOne. Saved, how do you feel about this series? You have a good time, dude?
Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, awesome. So,
hey, thanks, bye-bye.
yeah. Hey, nice one. So you can find either of us at on Twitter at Stretch Beckham, and he is at TheSavedOne17.
I have a YouTube channel.
He's got a YouTube channel.
Go and subscribe to my
Yeah, go subscribe. Dude, the videos over there are actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, thanks, man.
I have a good time watching your videos.
Thanks, man.
So if you guys are looking for some new content to watch in relation to League of Legends on the YouTubes, give my boy TheSavedOne a try, because he definitely can brighten your day. But
thanks, buddy.
But that being said, guys, that's going to do it for us. I'm going to go ahead and play a little outro music. Thank you guys for showing up yet again. And once again, check out Ascension eSports. We'd love to have you. See you later.